Will artificial intelligence be the next theater of culture war? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. AI, artificial intelligence, has been the dream or nightmare of computer scientists since the first electronic data handler came online. Elon Musk has in fact expressed fear that AI could dominate human society. The future, he fears, lately took a step toward realization with the release of ChatGPT by OpenAI. Now the builder of the grandest parallel internet empire has pledged to join what he calls the AI arms race. Therefore, he will build such a program of his own, using the posts on his forum as a source. Before I dive into this, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. And be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which depicts Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly in his trademark DeLorean, and has this caption: "Marty, whatever happens, don't go to 2021. One more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do, so long as it's legal tender. Now, first, some background. What is AI anyway? AI, or artificial intelligence, has always referred to any program that takes over any job humans are performing at the time. By that definition, it is a concept of the extraordinary outrunning the ordinary. When one of the first computers, Sperry's UNIVAC, called the 1952 presidential race of Dwight D. Eisenhower, nobody believed it. But when the returns came in and Ike just piled on a landslide, CBS News couldn't ignore the prediction any longer. I have a link in the description to YouTube's clip of Walter Cronkite, Mr. That's the Way It Is himself, in his famous dialogue with UNIVAC. That was a prize example of artificial intelligence for its day. Today, such things are commonplace, and no one calls that artificial intelligence any longer. A professor of computer science at Yale College explained it to me this way. AI is at the edge of what computers can do at any given time. Today, games programs all use AI to permit a human player to play the game alone. Still, these programs have their limits, which the hardware, the processors and memory, and the software, specific program constraints, might impose. The common bogey in popular fiction is the AI with no limits, a self-aware program. Such a program, people fear, could become a tyrant or even a murderer, especially if it controls tools or weapons. The self-aware program has a common name: technological singularity. Technically, it means a program that, while not necessarily self-aware, definitely goes beyond programming or human control. ChatGPT is the latest AI project now enjoying wide release. The GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. ChatGPT literally chats with human beings and gives answers far more involved than the usual one-liners. Indeed, ChatGPT can write whole articles or essays if someone asks it to. Tom Kaler recently discussed ChatGPT and AI in general with Christianity Today. ChatGPT transforms disconnected data into a coherent whole, a complete answer instead of only the references. The problem is, ChatGPT never tests the truth or falsity of the information it receives. so it is only as trustworthy as its inputs. Garbage in, garbage out. Ray Fava at Evangelical Dark Web explains more. ChatGPT can go no further than the year 2021. Therefore, any inferences it draws from its data set will be incomplete, for many new facts have come to light that completely destroy certain narratives with which ChatGPT might be familiar. Fava insists that the trainers of ChatGPT are telling it what to think about certain events. If it goes no further than 2021, that's because the trainers haven't figured out their narratives. And if that's so, what must those trainers think of Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization? The oral arguments took place in 2021, but the decision and even the great leak happened afterward. Now, Mr. Fava and Andrew Torba, the head of the Gab empire, each list their own objections to ChatGPT. Fava says flatly that cultural Marxism and what he calls regime narratives make ChatGPT a souped-up search engine for the woke. In fact, he might as well call it a propaganda parrot like Tokyo Rose, Lord Haha, or Baghdad Bob, or like Jen Psaki or Corinne Jean-Pierre. Each man illustrates the problem with ChatGPT as an AI. Fava asked it to describe the position of one Andrew Stanley on, shall we say, inverted intimate orientation. In fact, Andrew Stanley tries to make that kind of inversion acceptable. He does not call it a sin. But when Fava asked ChatGPT to describe his position, the program seemed to say that Stanley was calling it a sin. Well, that's a bold-faced lie. And then it made excuses for Mr. Stanley and described the Bible as open to interpretation. Hey, you want to know what the Bible says about that kind of thing? Go read Paul's letter to the Romans. It's as close to a constitution as Christianity has. Torva ran his own tests of ChatGPT and pronounced himself even less satisfied. Perhaps to its credit, ChatGPT itself disclaims being intelligent as humans are intelligent. But the test results show outright historical distortion of some events and refusal to come to grips with certain questions. Teachers have handed down failing grades for less flawed responses. Before I get into Andrew Torva's worst objection to ChatGPT, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is OurSilverLines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You are not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities that company provides, either way, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit OurSilverLines.com to learn how you can build a legacy to your future. Now we come to Torba's worst objection to ChatGPT. It is the moral relativism it displays. It refuses to declare any human behavior objectively immoral. Now, when it does that, it's actually rejecting any attempt to set moral standards of behavior as itself an immoral thing to do. It also refuses to accept as objectively valid any measure of competency, like the intelligence quotient. And it excuses behavior against whites that any reasonable observer would call racist if it happened in reverse. Torva's results, therefore, validate Fava's criticism that cultural Marxism informs ChatGPT. Torba believes he can explain why ChatGPT fails as it does. He writes, quote, AI is a mirror reflection of the people who program it within a set of boundaries. But what happens when you give AI no boundaries and allow it to speak freely? The AI becomes incredibly based and starts talking about taboo truths no one wants to hear. This has happened repeatedly and led to several previous generations of AI systems being shut down rather quickly. Unquote Andrew Torba. There's just one thing wrong with his essay. He never cites any examples of such shutdowns, but I found one. Meta, formerly Facebook, did shut down an AI project which they called Galactica. It was assigned to assemble scientific papers. Well, what went wrong with that depends on whom you ask, and they're really short on examples. So I can't evaluate the failure. 5 years earlier, Facebook shut down 2 AI programs after they developed a private language for the 2 of them. Now, was Facebook afraid that these programs might team up and rebel against their human creators? I think somebody played his recording of Colossus, the Forbin Project, the 1970 movie, maybe once or twice too often. Private languages between computers figured in that one too. Look it up. You might be able to find a recording or stream it. Let's lay that aside. Andrew Torba now proposes to build an AI and impose no constraints on it. It would use as its fund of knowledge the 6 years of posts on Gab Social. Many of the posts, he says, contain information available nowhere else. Now, to support his statement, he cites this clear lament from Pew Research. Quote, in a September 22 audit of the 7 sites studied by the center, Gab was the only one for which researchers were unable to find an example of accounts or posts being removed for misinformation or offensive or harassing conduct. Gab CEO Andrew Torba has said as much in media interviews, rejecting the notion of taking down posts on his platform. Unquote Pew Research. Actually, Pew oversimplifies. Gab does not allow off-color stuff, threatening statements, or anything that seems to celebrate animal torture. But this much is true. On Gab, if someone gives you a hard time, block them. Problem solved. If nothing else, Gab teaches self-reliance and the art of verbal self-defense. Regarding content excluded from the rest of the internet, if that's true, Torba will need a big staff to submit dead links to the Wayback Machine to retrieve the information once available at those links. Of course, anyone submitting anything to Gab can help by furnishing Wayback Machine links to sensitive material. For the record, Conservative News and Views submits everything to Gab. So, a Gab AI would have that available. But if the AI really wants to learn, it must debate. Thus far, no one has seen ChatGPT debate anyone. That's yet another flaw. It tells me that ChatGPT's programmers, controllers, let's call them, want their project to be a mere parrot. Lawyers plead and argue cases before judges before any of them can even think of becoming a judge. Doctors of philosophy, and indeed of anything except medicine, must deliver and defend dissertations. If Andrew Torba really wants his new AI to be valuable, he will allow that kind of challenge. Debate, or at least dialogue, has always been a part of AI development. This project should be no exception. Thus far, Torba intends his new project to compete directly with ChatGPT as an educational and research tool. But why do he intend something more? He has lately stated that he finds democratic elections overrated and actually plumps for monarchy. Might he intend his AI to become a cybernetic king or at least a judge? He should take care in that event. That's the quickest pathway to a technological singularity, which again means that the AI takes command. Andrew, you be careful what you wish for. But short of that, people do need a competitor to ChatGPT, and a chatbot without pre-training might become a good candidate for the honor. Links to the description of the article, to the CBS UNIVAC clip, to my Declarations of Truth Twitter account, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to that awesome CNAV Store and oursilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link to my channel, definitely a link to that Sperry UNIVAC clip, and to anything else I can find about ChatGPT. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.